What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Tuesday night's late night agenda. Thank you all for giving up some of your time to be here with me. I don't like to do the whole I told you so routine, but unfortunately tonight it isn't great news. I'm going to do my best to give you some positive spin on the stories we have. I'm going to talk to you about a few little murmurings we're hearing behind the scenes, but ultimately we can only report what's being reported. James Pearce has been speaking about the DM situation. I'm going to give you a take on that, which is kind of where tonight's title came from on the stream. We're going to go through the Anthony Gordon situation, which is not going to go away like I told you guys all summer. Fabrizio Romano has repeated the same thing. Keep an eye on that situation. We're going to be just getting everything off our chests and asking, where is the money, John? Seriously, like, I know I joke and I laugh and it's a catchphrase and all, but where is the money? In all honesty, where is the money? I read a really good piece last night in The Athletic. James Pearce wrote it. He was speaking with Billy Hogan about the US side of Liverpool Football Club, the growth of fans over there, how we're the most interacted with fan on social media in the United States and in the world, speaking about partnering with blue chip companies and all the corporates speak. And it was a really good article from James. But again, we're left here the next day now asking, where are the signings then? It's all very well and good boasting about having Google Pixel and DHL and all these other blue chip American brands as commercial partners. But it's no good to us if we're not seeing the difference made on the pitch, right? So that is the question we're going to look at tonight is, are we really having the wool pulled over our eyes again? Like, is it happening in front of our eyes? Are they going to get away with it? Are people going to just shrug their shoulders and let them go through another window? I hope not. I hope not, because here we are now, one day away from the holy month of August, the month where we were promised the crescendo, the signings, the window getting its peak. Well, we've gone through 60% of this window, 65% of it, and we haven't signed a damn single person. Haven't added one more name to our already troublesome contract situation. We've not renewed Virgil, Mo, Trent. We have done absolutely nothing. So what have these lads been at? You know, when is enough? Because I've had it. I've had it. I'm done listening to the excuses at this point. It's just unfair. It's unfair to us fans to be shafted again. Mark, thank you, mate. I've seen a couple of gifted memberships from you tonight, mate. Thank you. So, here's something that's going to make your blood boil. But I got to be honest, and I got to read out what's written by the journalists. I can't believe I'm about to say these words, but apparently we're supposed to swallow this. Hang on. So, this from James Pearce said, one of the factors that led to Liverpool turning down the offer from Marseille for Wharton Endo was that they believe there are a lack of suitable, affordable and available number sixes in the market. I'm going to read that out to you again. One of the factors that led to Liverpool Football Club turning down the offer from Marseille for Wharton Endo was that they, i.e. us, the football club, believe there are a lack of suitable, affordable and available number sixes in the market. That's not a made-up quote from me. That's not a fan channel coming out with it. That's a journalist reporting what the journalist is being told. James Pearce isn't a sensationalist. James Pearce isn't going to just write this stuff unless he's been briefed it. It's absolutely unacceptable on every front that this has even been allowed to be unchallenged. You, me, and every other Liverpool fan around the world right now are supposed to believe that the holy trinity of availability, suitability, and affordability, none of those are available. None. 3 years. 3 years. 3 years looking for a number six. Chelsea bought 2 in one summer. And we've been 3 years. I said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it until I get through to every last Liverpool fan on the goddamn planet. FSG are cheap. FSG are constantly going to tell us porkies. FSG have no want or desire, in my opinion, to win. But hey, they saved us 12 years ago according to some, so that means we all just sit back and allow this nonsense to be spouted again. But Craig, there's no value in the market. I know, Stevie boy, and here's the funny thing. The market's only going to get more expensive in August because clubs know teams are desperate. Clubs have to find replacements. All the things that I've been warning everybody about all summer, not because I pull this shit out of the air and because I enjoy it, but because I can see it. I can see it clear as day. Season after season, window after window, summer after goddamn summer. False dawns, false promises, media spin, and problems at the last minute. Can kick down the road. Big promise of a next future window being brilliant, but it never materialises. They're cheap. Coach Bill said Klopp was never the problem with incomings. Over the last week, there's been an absolute change in the tone of replies to our YouTube videos. People used to say, I like you, Craig. I don't mind the channel, bro. Tune in when I can. But drop the FSG stuff. Drop the ranting. There's plenty of time left in the window. Be patient. We were told. And I said to them respectfully, I get you, but I don't have the trust. Over the last week, that tone has changed. More people are starting to question what on earth is going on. Because there's only so many times that you can keep talking about squad assessments, new people in their jobs. None of us would be allowed to saunter into a job in June and be at the end of July and not haven't done a fucking tap. Because what have they done? They haven't renewed any contracts for the senior players. They haven't brought in anybody. They've sent a couple of kids out on loan. What are we at? Don't talk to us like we're idiots. We are not stupid people. And FSG, time after goddamn time, are pulling this crap. And do you know what you haven't heard me say once? Not once this summer. Check back, watch every video you want. You have not heard me say the phrase FSG out once. Because I've leant back. I've tried to be a little bit more measured. I've tried to be a little bit more reasonable. But I knew it was going to come. I knew we weren't going to get what we were promised. I got very worried last night when I seen the Friendrup links. Not because I didn't know if he was good enough or not, but because, yet again, let me paint you a picture, just for argument's sake. Manchester United right now are looking at Old Trafford. They're looking at the options of what to do with Old Trafford. Do they rebuild on the current site? Do they do it in stages? Or do they move to a new site that's already owned by the club, similarly, and build a fantastic new stadium, 100,000 seater, that's going to cost about 2 billion quid? They're edging to that. Now, cast your minds back to when FSG came to the football club. Think about this. Hear me out. We were told that they were weighing up the options of whether to extend Anfield in stages or move to a shiny new stadium somewhere else, maybe even Stanley Park. What option did they go for? They went for the one that they pitched to you as heritage. The one they pitched to you as keeping in our spiritual home. But there's one little factor here. It was also the cheaper option. And they spun it so they made it sound like we listened. John listened. And then John decided that we were going to stay put and do the cheap option. Now, when it comes to players, cheap option. Every single time they do the cheap option. And yet, every single time, people buy into it. Same in Boston. They go over to Fenway Park. It's a kip. And they still do it up. They don't knock it down and rebuild it. It's an absolute dump. And they still can't be arsed redoing the stadium properly or rebuilding it. They take the cheap option every goddamn time. And it isn't an accident. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. You can credit them for putting good people in positions and all the other stupid shit. But again, I ask you, what happened when we had the option to build a shiny new stadium or the cheaper option? Now, you mightn't agree with me. You might say, Craig, they made the right decision, and I can hear you. I appreciate that. I'm not saying a shiny new stadium was the right decision or the wrong decision. What I'm trying to say is every time that it comes down to a decision where there's one option that's more expensive and one option that's cheap, we know which one we end up with. And it ain't the more expensive one. Dave, where's the money, John? Exactly, and I will see you in Liverpool. I've got a mug for Sinead, Dave, so remind me to give it to you on the night, mate. Picked up a load of mugs today that we're bringing over, as well as this Irish mug that's coming over. Nathan Allen said, affordable, but they randomly put a straight up 120 million bid in not too long ago for Sado, and we're being told there's no affordable DM. Don't make me laugh. Mate, we could all name 7 or 8. You know, every single one of us here could put together a list of DMs that we could go out and get that would be an improvement on what we have. But where's the threshold? Where's the bar? Like, the midfielder that they've been searching for 3 years clearly doesn't exist in their minds. So maybe it's time to reevaluate. We've all got that friend. Male or female, doesn't matter. We've all got that friend that is single still. That's holding out for Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. They have standards that are just not realistic, and you know it. You've got that friend, and you know that they're going to probably settle at some point because Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect just doesn't exist for them. Our club seem to just have this mythical bullshit of, oh well, there isn't anybody available, nobody good enough, but yeah, here we are, no money spent. Do you want another mad stat? We often talk about sales and how much we generate versus how much we spend. I've told you about the expenditure loads of times. Here's the funny thing though. In the last 10 seasons, this is according to Transfermarkt, Liverpool Football Club have brought in the 3rd highest amount of money in sales, just shy of 700 million euro. Manchester United, who've already spent in the last 2.5 years 200 million more than us, they've only recouped 487 million. Man City have recouped over $1 billion in sales. Chelsea, 1.3 billion in sales. Everton, 650 million. So we've recouped 700 million in the last 10 years. And every single time we haven't got a pot to piss in. The wage bill, Craig, it's the wage bill, Craig, it's the wage bill, the wage bill, Craig, the wage bill. Okay, what about the 18.5 million that was removed off the wage bill this summer? Are we just not talking about that now? Because I'm not seeing that boasted about anymore like it was 6 or 7 weeks ago. Liverpool have £18.7 million solution to transfer problem. No, what Liverpool have is more money in the bank because they're not spending it again. Not going to lie, mate. We are effed and I'm scared it's squeaky bum time, said Jack Dempsey. Thank you, Jack, for your super chat, and thank you, Nathan Allen, as well. So yes, it is squeaky bum time, but it's also get angry time, get active time. No feeling sorry for ourselves. No sitting back and just shrugging our shoulders and going, ah well, no, not good enough. We have to get together. We have to get on the same page. We have to be vocal, we have to be loud, and we have to be demanding. Because this is embarrassing. Last night we talked about the fact that we're the only club out of the Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, the Portuguese Primeira Division and the Premier League, the only club from those 5 leagues that have yet to make a signing. With a new coach who's untested. And yes, he could be great and we all hope he is, and I'll be right behind him. But again, it's an excuse. Oh, he wants to assess his squad. Hi, Craig here, hi. Question. You know the squad assessing that you're talking about? Didn't we all agree that we needed a midfielder, a defender and a forward 6 months ago? Wasn't that just written about everywhere by every publication? Didn't we agree on that? Yeah. So why are we now using that as an excuse? Oh, Arne Slot needs to assess his squad. He won't get to assess his squad. I've been telling you this all summer. He won't get to assess a squad that isn't going to be there because they're coming back late. The excuses are just that Please don't buy them. Please don't listen to them. Let your voice be heard. Speak up. I'm appealing to my fellow content creators here as well. Please, for the love of God, stop accepting mediocrity. Stop accepting being shortchanged. To every one of you that pays your hard-earned money to go to Anfield week after week, to travel the country, to travel around Europe, to bring your kids, you deserve value for that money. And you might think you're getting it because we've had great times. And we have. No denying that. But it could be better. We could win. We aren't acting like a team that wants to win. We are, but our owners aren't. Mark, thank you for another gift of membership. Rich said, has the window closed and I missed it? Relax, let's talk again when it's closed. Yeah, fuck you, Rich. How about that? I can be a smart arse as well. Have we signed anyone, Rich? Have any other club in the Premier League not signed anybody? So don't you tell me to relax, mate, when I can see that you're on a wind-up and these are absolute spoofers of owners. You drink that Kool-Aid, don't you, mate? You just lap it up. Anything old John shits on the table, you're there, knife and fork ready. Not me, pal. Not me. So, again, don't tell us to relax. You go about your relaxed life. You probably won't even need to have a wank tonight. You're so relaxed, everything's so calm, mate. You just nod off to sleep. Well, I'm going to feel like punching the wall again tonight. That's how I feel. I'm waking up with a splitting headache because I'm sick of this nonsense. Okay, I'm going to do what the moderators aren't doing, which is boot out anyone that's saying chill out. No, I'm not going to chill out. Because chilling out and being a victim in this scenario is just what they want. Chilling out and not having a backbone allows this crap to happen year after year. Growing a pair. So, I'm not going to relax. I'm going to keep pressing the button and keep standing on my soapbox and keep shouting and keep pushing what I can do, which is to try and hold our owners accountable. Because I don't want 2, 3, 4 more years to go by. I don't want Arne Slot as a sacrificial lamb. I want us to challenge. I want us to revisit those beautiful nights we had under Jurgen. I want to see more of our captains lifting trophies above their head. What are you on about? Victim? Yes, mate. We are. Every single FSG apologist comes out with the same shit. We're all ranting lunatics. We're all idiots. We all don't know where Anfield's located on a map. And yet you just keep buying it. Here's the thing. If you're telling me to chill out, that's on you. But maybe you just don't feel the same way as I do about the football club, perhaps. Maybe you're lucky enough that you can go through your daily life and Liverpool's business, results, doesn't impact you. Maybe you're lucky. I'm not wired that way, unfortunately. I'm an all-in kind of person. When I'm all in, I'm all in. And Liverpool Football Club is, outside of my family, everything to me. Whether that's laughable or not. That's how I am. That's how I'm wired. They're the ABCs of me. And I'm never going to apologise for that. Nor am I going to accept being lied to, being manipulated. Because it's clear, transparent and obvious. Many more people agree with me than anybody that's telling me to chill out. Proven, time after time, vote after vote, poll after poll, number after number. People are angry. People are pissed off. People feel manipulated. They need to be heard. Excuse me. Would you swap Trent for Camavinga or Tchouaméni? I don't know how to answer the question because I know I keep coming back to the same thing, Yak. I don't know what Trent is. And that's my problem, bro, to answer your question. If we're talking about Trent the midfielder, then yes, I would. If we're talking about Trent the fullback, then no, I wouldn't. Because I know how good Trent the fullback is in the position he is, even when he comes central. We can talk about the gaps that he leaves and other stuff. That's a different conversation. But no, I wouldn't swap the right back for that midfielder, no. But if we're talking about if Trent was to be played in midfield, then maybe, yes. Maybe I think about it then. And by the way, I'm also well aware that not all, but a percentage of people that come in and say, oh, have I missed something? Is it over? Is the transfer window over, dudes? I get it. Some of you are on a wind-up, and I get that. I'm easy to wind up at times. I'm aware of these things. But as I said, how I feel, how I speak, is how I feel. I come across and I present myself as I am. And if you're chilled out about it, cool for you. But I'm not, so I can't come on and pretend otherwise. Let's get into some stories. So, I did say to you it wasn't going to be all doom and gloom, because there are some positive murmurings, and they are just that. But we have started to hear talk of potential interest in Adam Wharton. It started trickling around social media. We started, probing for information ourselves. I don't know if it'll end up in any bid. I don't know if it ends up in us doing anything. But he's certainly been looked at, and he's certainly somebody we're fond of. I don't want to go any further than that because I'd be lying to you. But just keep an eye on that situation as well. Now, I've told you guys most of the summer that there was loads of talk around Manchester City and Adam Wharton. Loads of talk that they're going to try and make a play from next summer. And Palace only paid, 20 million quid or something when they bought him from Blackburn. So, I don't know how easy it would be to get him out of Crystal Palace if we went for him, because they've already lost Elise and they're probably going to lose one or two more, and they won't want to be completely asset stripped because the new manager's going to want to have a squad to work with. Only way to stop FSG is stop the money, said Andrew Wright. I would suggest, Andrew, it's to publicly embarrass them and shame them, because they don't like negative PR. We've seen that work many times by Liverpool fans. Ticketing protests as an example. They don't like negative PR. They are very brand aware. One of the things that Billy Hogan said to James Pearce when they were speaking about Liverpool's trip over to America, and they were speaking about the blue chip companies that Liverpool have made a point of partnering with commercially, is because of the reputation, because of the prestige that comes with being associated with these companies. Every one of these companies don't like negative PR. So as fans, we have to be vocal. Liverpool boasted about being the most interacted with football club on social media. Well, that can go two ways. You can be interacted with and Liverpool fans can comment on videos, watch inside training and all the good stuff, but it can also be flipped on its head and Liverpool fans can start to speak out, can start to get things trending, can start to get frustrated, can start to voice their opinions. But it takes a consensus. Some people have vested interests where they choose not to speak out because it'll affect their bottom line. Other people have relationships with the club they don't want to destroy. And other people may just disagree and think the owners are great. So it's a mix of a lot of different Liverpool fans. It's up to us what we go about doing. And I've never been one for just accepting something I don't believe to be true. In life, in general. Harry, how are you, my friend? Said, I'm annoyed. I can see the excuses flooding in, but didn't Slot say he will be surprised if we don't make signings? Slot hands are tied. It's shocking. So look at it this way. If we make one signing now and throw in a few excuses about being able to not act late in the window or a lack of availability, they'll have gotten out of the summer with minimal expenditure. I said something at the very start of this transfer window, and I'm going to stand by it. The reason I was concerned about Liverpool spending money is because I don't see a flood of money coming in. I don't see where they're going to offset it. And Liverpool's owners, famously, spend big when we sell big. Go back and we'll talk about John Achterberg. saying that they couldn't sign Fekir because there wouldn't have been any money to sign Ederson. I've always wondered that if we didn't sell a Salah or a Diaz or somebody big in this window, would we really fulfill the positions to the level we want? Or would we see the excuses? So far, no outgoings. Also, no incomings. Coincidence? Perhaps. But I'm cynical, so I don't think so. And Nick, how are you, my friend? And thank you for your super chat. Said, assess the squad, winds me up. How many hours of training and real game action of our squad are on tape? How many of these players truly need assessing? We know the good, the bad, and the ugly of the team. So for me, Nick, when I hear assess the squad, I want to give the manager the benefit of the doubt because he's new in. But what I read from that is we're not talking about assessing a Virgil or a Salah or a Trent. I think he's talking about a Gravenberch maybe, who's on the edge, a Tyler Morton or Fabio Carvalho. Fringe players. And then maybe he makes a decision about whether they stay at the club or whether they go out on loan. Trainioni, another example. Bobby Clark, another example. Ben Doak, another example. I'm absolutely open to them being assessed in the squad, but not the pivotal positions, not the spine of the squad. You're right in that. Everybody knows Virgil's a good centre-back and Ali's a good keeper and Salah's a good forward. Like, we know this. We don't need assessments. Why do you think Michael Edwards came back? Well, to be fair, that's been pretty clear. He came back to work in a higher role in FSG than he did at Liverpool. He didn't want to come back to be a sporting director, and I can understand that. Been there, done it, ticked the box, wanted to move on. Went and worked with Ludonautics, with Dr. What's the doctor's? Dr. Ian, excuse me for not remembering his surname. And then changed, came back because he was given more powerful scope. He doesn't necessarily work for Liverpool Football Club. He's the head of, or he's the CEO of football for FSG, which will encompass all of their clubs whenever they own them. And he'll be part of buying the clubs. So he's more close to becoming an FSG board member type material than I would consider day-to-day Liverpool stuff. He will be part of the initial handover process. Of course, he'll be liaising with Richard Hughes and stuff. So he was never really brought back in to do his old job. That job was going to be fulfilled by Richard Hughes. Craig, FSG brought in the likes of Edwards, Hughes and Ward to make the decisions. We already know players that would suit our system. Exactly. Like, that's my point, mate. These guys have been in before, aren't they? And certainly, even though they might have been double jobbing for a while Richard Hughes was still working at Bournemouth, and obviously Michael Edwards was finishing up at Ludonautics, and yeah, there would have been a crossover period, but again, not one position has been filled. Not one. No defender, no midfielder, no forward, no Verds deal, no Salah deal, no Trent deal. Nothing. Zip, nada. All that we've seen is more backroom staff added in, and that needs to be done. Of course it does. You know, we do need our manager to have this full complement of coaches. Johnny Heidinger came in, Ruben Peters is in, and then we've got the guy from Benfica, Pedro Marquez, who's going to be overseeing FSG's football strategy or sporting strategy or something along those lines. Sigon, apologies mate for missing your super chat initially. I find it weird that FSG tried to buy a second club, but when it falls through, they are hesitant to invest in their largest asset. Shows money is there. It also kind of puts to bed the myth that they came in on their white horse to save us. They looked at the numbers and it worked, so they bought Liverpool. Bordeaux, they looked at the numbers and it didn't work. And they didn't, and Bordeaux have gone to the wall. So they aren't altruistic. They are opportunistic. And they were told, you've seen the leaked email, maybe you haven't, Google it yourself. Liverpool can be got for a song. That's the pitch to John W. Henry. Now, I seen something last night that I haven't had time to research. So, if somebody has a few minutes, Google something for me. I was told that FSG once had an interest, and I mean a financial interest in Fulham previously. I don't know how true that is, or if that was gobbledygook, because I haven't had a chance to research it yet. JSR12 said, the narrative of Slot needing to assess the squad really annoys me. Somebody said it's not even FSG. What do you mean? Of course it's FSG, my friend. They write the checks. Nobody can do anything without the go-ahead from FSG. You know, you can bring in a manager to do stuff. You can bring in sporting directors. But ultimately, it's not their money. The owners are the ones who say yay or nay. You can present the options to them. And John could say to Michael and Richard, looks good, crack on, fella. Or they can say, I'm not sure. Is there another way to look at this? So it's always down to the owners, mate. The detective, thank you for your super chat, said, is it too much to ask for a DM, a centre-back and a winger? Arsenal strengthened from second position and have spent more than we did when we even won the league and the Champions League. They haven't won either. So, I don't know how long you've been watching the channel, The Detective, but I feel like you've been around for a while now. So, do you remember what I used to say all the time about Jurgen Klopp's tenure at the football club? I always said the same thing. I don't want to look back on Jurgen's time here and see him win one of everything. I know we've won 2 League Cups, by the way. I want to look back and wanted to, can't do it now, obviously, and see a dynasty. See Jurgen lift 2 or 3 Prems, a couple of European Cups. Finishing second with points tallies in the 90s doesn't sit well. And this year of all years, the reason I think Arsenal are going to reinvest again to go big is because they smell blood. They see a weakness in Manchester City and they see a weakness in us. And they feel like by adding in Ricardo Calafiori, who's now signed officially with Arsenal over in the United States training and could even take part against us. Oh, on that, tomorrow night, I've got some good news. I will be able to do the watch along tomorrow night. I've changed my sailing time to the UK to later on in the day for, it doesn't matter why, personal stuff at home here, but I am able to do the watch along tomorrow night, so I will be here for that one. So if you want to join us for that, we'll be live tomorrow. 3 signings in August when we can't sign one in months. Harry Klein. I've always said to you, Harry, and everybody else, mate, in my humble opinion, I always thought that Richard Hughes was misinterpreted with the comments. People said, and I'm open to be corrected on this, that he was speaking about us when he said, I don't expect much in July. I expect the market to come to a crescendo in August. For me, I read that as, in general, he doesn't expect much business across the board in the league, in Europe, in July, much more to happen in August. But he was wrong on that, because there's already been quite a few deals done in July. But yet, we've still done nothing. One sec, so what is this? So here's an article that Mark just forwarded on and credited. I don't know who's credited in the YouTube chat. Fenway Sports Group has signed a deal to become the exclusive North American sales agent for Fulham FC of the English Premier League, putting the agency into European soccer and marking its first pact with a foreign-based entity. And that was written in 2009. So they were involved in the Premier League previously with Fulham to some capacity. So, and there is some truth to that one then. And thank you, Mark, for sending that on to me. What's this one? So, Paul Gorst of the Echo has reported Southampton are looking at Sepp van den Berg. So, here's my problem. If we didn't sell Endo, right? We turned down the bid, we didn't sell Endo. We turned down the bid, we didn't sell Van den Berg. Every single club knows that you buy in before you sell. You don't sell a centre-back and then go to buy a centre-back, because then you're going to be caught with your pants down. And you're vulnerable, and you're going to overpay. So, great if Southampton are interested in Sepp van den Berg. I hope the club can achieve the value that they have for the player. But it just puts the pressure up a little bit more then for us. Let's be honest. How many of you guys out there thought that we had a few deals wrapped up, ready to go, that we're going to see in August, but we were just tapering expectation and then bang, bang, bang? You were holding out for that, weren't you? Because so am I. And I'm still hoping I wake up soon and see those stories. But when you see James Pearce coming and writing out the same stuff before, saying that one of the factors that led to Liverpool turning down the offer from Marseille for Endo was that they believed there were a lack of suitable, affordable and available number 6 in the market. That sounds like a quote from last year. And even then I wouldn't have believed it. So surely that can't be the case now. Like, we can all name 5 and 6 midfielders, like we've said, of varying levels of financial capability or various, price points or various levels of experience. What are they looking for? Akib, thank you for your super chat, my friend. And you'll never walk alone. Much love to you, my friend, as well. Thank you. Loads of people saying, yep, they expected the same. And that's because it's because you want to think the best of people. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's a good trait for you guys to have. But I've always told you I'm far more cynical, especially when it comes to these owners. And I've always looked at it that they had Jurgen Klopp, the greatest manager of my lifetime of Liverpool Football Club. And they never really backed him. They backed him when they sold. When we sold Coutinho, Alisson, Van Dijk. And yes, there have been a couple of windows with a 60 million and a 90 million. But more often than not, we've seen a steady 40, 45 million net spend. And they did that with a generational manager that would walk into any job in world football. And they didn't really back him. And Jurgen, to his eternal credit as a good man, always stood up for the owners and said they're doing what they can. We may have disagreed with our thoughts on it, but to be fair to Jurgen, he knew what he signed up for. He never felt lied to, that we know publicly. And he was always saying the owners do what they can. And if John says there's no money, then there's no money. Fine. I've just never believed that. But I believe Jurgen felt that way. But it's no accident that Achterberg started coming out talking about the Nabil Fekir stuff when he's gone away from Liverpool. And he's not answerable to FSG. Richard Rios from Palmeiras would be a fine fit. So, Sebas, excuse my ignorance, bro. There's a couple of things I guess we'd have to look at for any player coming from Brazil. First and foremost, you're thinking age, work permit, availability. Because remember, it's very difficult, much more difficult now, even for Irish kids to go over to the UK. Got to be 18 now. Like when I was growing up, I knew, God, and any Irish people in the chat here probably be the same. I knew 6, 7, 8, 9 people at any point who were over on trials or in academies in the UK. That's different now. You've probably noticed a lot more Irish players in, let's say, France and Italy. And it's not an accident. For instance, Everton are signing an Irish defender, I think, from Lyon. That's because these kids have had to now go into Europe because of Brexit. They can't go to these academies the same way. And it's the same for players from the likes of South America. Unless they have the correct score on whatever the chart is for being a special talent, or I don't know it to hand. It's much more difficult. So Ben, who's a United fan, Ben in the background, said to me, Richard Rios, United were looking at him. They were demanding 75 million euro buyout clause, and he's 24 and never played in Europe. So, yeah, that's all I know on him, mate. I never really heard of him before till you mentioned him. So, 75 million euro was what they were looking for. The detective, thank you for your super chat, my friend, said, it's only a matter of time before we hear the noises out of the club that Slot is happy with Vandenberg, Bajcetic and Doak, and he wants to develop them. they'd be contradicting themselves there, because only this week there was a good few articles written to suggest that Ben Doak will go out on loan this season. I think Leicester and a few other clubs were linked. I've always told you, despite what the club have said, or despite what journalists have written, that Sepp van den Berg is available for the right number, and if that number was paid, Sepp would be gone tomorrow. So they can't tell us in one breath that there's valuations on players like Tyler Morton, Sepp van den Berg, potential for loans for Ben Doak, because we're not selling Ben Doak, so don't worry about that, and then say they're good enough. Let's wait and see is all we can do, I guess, mate. Let's wait and see what they do come out and say. So a little bit of talk. I know a few people are a little bit upset that the club are potentially looking at adding in another friendly. So there's talk that Liverpool are going to play Las Palmas the day before the Sevilla game, and lots of Liverpool fans were feeling a little bit shafted there because maybe they're going to see a weaker team. Lewis Steele reported to say Liverpool have held talks with Spanish side Las Palmas over a potential friendly on Merseyside the day before the Sevilla game. But he understands it's not near being confirmed and discussions have taken place. It would likely be a behind closed doors game, according to Lewis Steele, who's had very good reporting, to be fair to him, about Liverpool right across this summer, especially from over in the States and stuff. Really good observations on training and stuff like that. So fair play Lewis Steele on his reporting this summer. I don't know the man, but I've liked the reports and the work he's done this summer. Sorry, I'm just playing catch up here, going through more notes. So, I can't believe I have to read this sentence out, but here we go. Many things will depend on outgoings for Liverpool, according to Fabrizio Romano. He also said, Liverpool are looking at centre-backs and midfielders as a priority for Arne Slot. Many things will depend on outgoings. I'm hearing is Liverpool could sign something like 2 to 3 players based on opportunities. None of this screams we have a list to me. Like, there's too much use of the word opportunities, opportunistic. Where's the list? Do you know, when you go to Tesco or Sainsbury or Lidl or Aldi or whatever supermarket you shop in, you don't go there going, I need to get some type of carbohydrate, but I'm going to see what's on offer. You know, I might get rice. I might get me some bread. I'm going to have to wait and see if there... No, you're going to go, get yourself a sliced pan. Get yourself whatever. You have a list. You can't tell us that you are super organised, highly efficient, and very demanding, and then also tell us that you're opportunistic. Like, they're not mutually exclusive, but they're not exactly aligned either. Fraser said, Craig, thoughts on Fabrizio saying to keep an eye on Gordon? I think he wants to play for us, and I believe he'll reject contract extensions. So, not to try and say Fabrizio isn't a good journalist, because he obviously knows his apples. But if anybody is going to get some goddamn fucking credit for banging this drum about Anthony Gordon all summer and telling people that despite what's been said, even before June and the PSR stuff, it's this guy. I told everybody that Liverpool have eyes for Anthony Gordon. I didn't say I agreed with it or disagreed with it because I'm on the fence on it. But I told you it was a definitive. And I told you it isn't going to go away. And I told you to keep an eye on it. All the way from May right through to now. Did I or did I not? So, I get it. Fabrizio says it and it's sexy. But I have been saying that. Because I have had that information. And I've been saying it for a while. So a report coming out of Mundo Deportivo said if Barcelona can't sign Nico Williams, the club will look to sign another left winger in addition to Dani Olmo. Now, I think this was posted at a hint around Diaz, but if they can't afford to pay Nico Williams money, I can't see how they're going to be able to afford to sign Lucho at the 70 or 75 million that we're apparently asking for. And look, as again, I'm going to say, we have every right to put a price tag on a player and look for that valuation to be met. But I've always said, I felt like this summer was going to be a weird one to watch because I didn't see where the big sale was going to come from. Now, remember everybody who told me to shut up about selling Salah? Remember what I said? Sell Salah now, you get money in the bank, you get to reinvest it, you get to look to the future. I know it's not a positive thing to say. Some of these things are difficult to come out with. But there's always a reason. Like, I'm not an idiot. I'm quite an intelligent man. I research the shit out of all of this stuff. I spend my days glued and on the phone and researching and trying to find any little bit of info I can. Because I'm not highly connected. But I knew it was going to be a summer that if they didn't sell somebody, we were going to be... Because that's what this is all about right now. That's why we're waiting. Because we thought we would have been able to sell somebody by now. And brought in an influx of cash that we could have used then for signings. But we haven't. And I struggle to see who we do sell for really big money. Like, you might get 17 for Sepp van den Berg. But you still need to buy a centre-back then. So, no sales. It's not a coincidence. Again, cheaper option. And don't worry, pal, when you say it, it's sexy too. Look, I just get a little bit annoyed, mate, because it's hard enough to have a fan channel and try to grow it, turn it into an entity that's financially viable without having your work suppressed by a lot of people, without being constantly not credited or spoken about. Or, you know, Carvalho. I was the very first account to say anything about Fabio Carvalho. I was the one. Never got any credit for it. But funnily, when Bellingham didn't sign, everybody was able to tell me that I got it wrong. Every fucker, even though I've never met on social media, was able to tell me. Madrid accounts were laughing at me. I'd never even chatted with them. It's hard enough without being suppressed. And make no mistake about it, this channel, our community, would be a lot bigger if we just had anywhere near a level playing field that everybody else has had. But it's okay. I don't give up. You don't give up. We're going to plough along, do our thing, grow our community, become the most subscribed to Liverpool fan channel on the planet. And they can't ignore that. Because it's real. It's sincere. Every one of you that hit that subscribe button, every one of you that hits that like button is a new friend, a new person added to our community, and a new thank you from me and Connor and everyone. Because it's really difficult. We're two lads from Ireland that's trying to speak about a club we love while always being undermined. Whether it's you're not local, whether it's you don't go to games, whether it's whatever. No opportunities, nothing. Still grinding it out because of you. Because you guys believed in us. You guys showed faith in us. And thank you so fucking much for that. So, Hendo, you stupid little prick. I'm not on Twitter, you gobshite. So how can I sit on Twitter all day and spread shite when I don't have a social media account? You absolute gobshite. So, give it a rest for what, dickhead? Show me my posts. Show me my social media accounts. They don't exist. So again, you're another idiot who just wants to take a shot at the king. You just want a pat on the fucking head. I get it. But I've dealt with thousands of you. Over and over again. Don't even bother. I'll swat you away like a little fly and move on. Oh, nice. Andy Murray's just reached the quarterfinals and the doubles. Happy days. Happy days. Nice. I've been subscribed to this channel since the summer of 2019, said Shay. I know you have, Shay. I know. I've always remembered your name, Shay. In fairness, Liverpool is Irish. Well, there's a good connection there, my man. You know, Anfield is named after a place in Wexford, so you are right. Not the king. Well, I think I am, Gino, but there you go. I mean, most watched Liverpool fan channel on the planet. I mean, in my head, I'm walking around with a crown right now, but you know what I mean? That's fine. I could have gone another way. Like, I could have gone straight to the your mum put downs. I could have said something like, you're waiting for my comeback now, but we'll have to scrape your mother's throat for that. See, I could have been vicious, but I didn't. I took the high road for me. Being here since the start of the channel. Much love, Craig, said Zakir. Yes, you have, Zakir. Thank you, bro. Craig, would you prefer broccoli or relegated Liverpool? In that scenario, my friend, I'd eat the broccoli for you. I'd take that broccoli and I'd eat it just to save us from relegation, mate. I would. I'd eat that broccoli. That's how much I love Liverpool. I'll eat the Devils. Do you know what I seen today? Credit Mike, in our Discord group. The Philly Fanatic and Mighty Red side by side in Philadelphia. I mean, I'm hoping Mighty Red picks up a nice few little moves from our friend the Philly Fanatic, because Philly Fanatic's a mascot I can get behind. That's a mascot with attitude. So hopefully Mighty Red comes back with a little bit of an extra bounce in his tush after hanging out with the Philly Fanatic. Okay, that's enough of that language for today. Sorry. I'll say whatever I want to say, J Muse. And if you don't think I've already toned back my language a lot, watch the channel from the early days. For instance, as an example, I now make a point of not saying the C word. You know it's my favourite word. You know how much I love to say it. But I don't say it anymore out of respect for the community and offending people. But other than that, bro, I'm going to be me and say what's on my mind. However I want to say it. If it's not feasible for you, no problem. But I am me. It's my God-given right as an Irish person to swear. Sorry, where am I on this? What's this? So, a little quote from Alexis McAllister speaking about life under Arne Slot, even though he hasn't really met him yet. He said, I had talks with the new coach. We talked a little about the club and about what I saw and so on. You can tell he's a very trained technician. He spoke to me very well. Talked with Sensei, who played from a Feyenoord, and he spoke very well of him. And look, I love hearing that. I love hearing that the players who have spoken with the new gaffers think very highly of him, speak very highly of him. And he does seem like a really, really obsessive, in a good way, devoted, all about it coach. I'm looking forward to the style of football under Arne Slot. I really am. Be interesting tomorrow as well. We play Arsenal tomorrow night. It's a sellout, full stadium in Philly, so it's going to be incredible. Yeah, we're going to get another look at the boys and again pick up some new stylistic changes, some difference in and out of possession. And the more we get to see it, the more I guess we get to figure out what life's going to really look like as Arne Slot settles into his role as Liverpool manager. Fake channel, fake news. It's not my news, oh my God, I don't understand it. How can people... No, it has to be a wind-up. I refuse to believe it. If anybody's watched this channel for a week, you'll have heard me say many times, I don't write the stories. I bring the stories journalists have written to the channel and we talk about them. And we, as a community, figure out if we think they're real, if there's truth to them, or otherwise. I don't write them. There is no Anfield Agenda written department. They aren't my stories. I don't take credit for the stories. So all the news is news that's reported by the Liverpool beat journalists that I speak to, mate. That's all I do. And if you can't figure that out, and the difference between reporting and talking about stories and stuff that we're trying to say is happening, then you've got bigger issues in life. Who's 4-4 tunes I'm dancing with in the background? It's Nulon. So, right, long story. If the alien that you guys see, let me see this. No, it's in a different scene. The alien's called Nulon Voider. So during the COVID season, when we were so far out in front of the league, a lot of people started to pipe up. AFTV, Karen Brady from West Ham, and a few others were talking about cancelling the league, null and voiding the league. And we were out in front, you know. We were destined to win the league before COVID hit. It was happening. We were a country mile ahead. And these feckers wanted the league cancelled. They wanted to take it away from us. So we decided, let's have a bit of fun and let's come up with a mascot. So we found Howard the Dancing Alien at the time, and we threw him onto the channel dancing around, and we decided that our new mascot was going to be called Nulon Voider, Null and Void. And that was our kind of two fingers to everybody that wanted the league null and voided out of spite. It was just our two fingers back to them. And everybody kind of liked them. And it kind of evolved that whenever we scored, people would ask where Nulon was, and he'd come up and he'd dance on the screen, and we'd all have a bit of fun with it. And then our friends of 4-4 Tunes were kind enough to actually draw us a cartoon version. And that's what you see dancing around with me behind the screen. So massive love to 4-4 Tunes, who are absolutely incredible at what they do. But yeah, that's the story of that little alien. So I know if you're new to the channel, or maybe you joined us a month ago, you're coming in, you're like, what? I get it. You know, it isn't the norm. But then again, we're not the norm, are we? You know, we're a little bit, I don't know, off the wall. Alex Macklin said, Southport, we are with you. Absolutely, Alex. And, you know, thank you for bringing up the subject, Alex. We mentioned it yesterday as well. I was just reading more about it before I came online. I can't, as a parent and as a human being, I can't fathom what those families must be going through. Those three beautiful young ladies taken. It's a crazy world that we live in. It truly is. And you're right, mate. Everyone is standing with Southport, and everyone's thinking about them, and everyone's hoping we never hear of another incident like that ever again, because it's so senseless, it's so cruel. But I know one thing about Merseyside and UK in general, same in Ireland. It will bring people together. They will fight for change. You don't fuck with Liverpool as a city, Merseyside. They're people who don't back down. They will fight for changes. They will fight to end knife crime. It's senseless. And nobody wants to see these stories. So absolutely, our thoughts and our love, and all of us are standing with Southport 100%. What are your expectations against Arsenal? I think a win is a huge boost. I don't really mind the results. Look, if we lose, we'll get bantered. If we win, people will banter Arsenal. But in pre-season, truly, I don't mind the results. You know, we're all competitive people and we don't like to lose. But I just see, again, I want to see those relationships. So what I took from the game against Real Betis was, I was really pleased with the right-hand side. I thought Dominic Szoboszlai, Mohamed Salah and Conor Bradley all looked brilliant. But I'd like to see Elliot a little bit more involved this time. There's a couple of things I'd like to see us defensively. Whilst we were very good and kept a clean sheet, just see a few changes there. I'm interested to see how we move the ball between the lines. I'm interested to see if the players are starting to realise when the right moment is. Because that's what Arne Slot keeps saying. You've seen, I don't know if it was Curtis Jones or somebody say that he wants to pass teams to death and choose the right moments to make those passes between the lines, behind the lines. I'm just intrigued to see that. Because we were very direct at times under Jurgen. And sometimes it was great, sometimes it was too predictable. And I think we're going to see certainly us have a lot more of the ball under Arne Slot and build up with a lot more patience and a lot more intent than maybe we did at times under Jurgen. I'm also intrigued to see how we line up defensively and if we still see inverted fullbacks as an example. I'm interested to see if Salah continues to play in that more narrow half space or towards the centre. Last season he was too wide. Loads of little tiny things that we get to see glimpses of, but I defo would not be worrying about the result. Where's the hoodie? So it just came in before I sat down to do the stream. I was at my psychologist appointment. So I just got in the door and had time to just set up for the stream. So I was wearing this because it was warm, so I didn't put the hoodie on. Did I miss a super chat? Is it true Trent signed a Madrid shirt? I've seen it reported, Benjamin, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know, but I wouldn't read that into it. Truly, I wouldn't read that into it. Because the only way Real Madrid want to sign Trent is on a free. I don't think they have much money to play around with after all the business that they've done of the likes of Mbappe coming in. So that's why they didn't sign Euro, is they weren't willing to. Do you know what? There was a great post somewhere. I want to give this guy credit. Connor forwarded this on to me. Maybe it's in my personal one. One sec. Come on. Oh, come on, Craig. Where is it? It was such a funny post. And damn, I don't have it. No, don't have it. Oh, here it is. Yes, it's called. The account name is Barry at Backseatsman LFC. It's a very funny post. Said United's pull this summer is crazy. Beat Milan to Xerxes by pitching a world-class project in brackets £15 million in agents fees. Snatched Lenny Yoro from Real Madrid with pure aura in brackets, doubled Madrid's wage offer, had Rio Ferdinand offering fellatio, end bracket, and has now stolen our top target, Adrian Rabiot, even though we'd blocked his mum's number. Well played. That made me smile when Connor sent that to me. Yeah, exactly. Like, we weren't interested in Adrian Rabiot. So I don't know where this narrative came from that we've missed out. We had like 6 or 7 chances to sign this dude over the last 4 years, and I've never been interested in it. Thoughts on the away kit? I think it's class. Love you, bro. I think it's really nice, actually, Autumn. When I'd seen it leaked, wasn't it the under-18s game against Frankfurt or something? The team wore it. You know what? I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, I've said that's the one. I'm actually gonna spend money and buy a Nike shirt. I do like it. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it was a good comment, wasn't it, Tamir? It was a very funny post from that guy, Barry. Yeah, well, on Gravenberch, actually. So, David Lynch said that Ryan Gravenberch will be given the chance to deliver on his promise at Liverpool this season, despite constant links of a move to Turkey. So that's good news. You know, I didn't understand why he was being linked with a move away already. He hasn't even had a chance to prove himself at Liverpool. Ian Greenstreet, member with us for 9 months, said Southport, you'll never walk alone. Top man Ian, much appreciated, sir. Great sentiment as always. You guys are awesome, by the way, as just human beings. Awesome. Benjamin Alfred, let me just get this comment ready for you, bro. Said, I read something that Madrid made 1 billion in revenue but only 15 million in profit. They're in theory in trouble if they have a bad season. So, you know what, Benjamin? I'm still trying to figure out the Chelsea situation, mate. Not to go off topic completely here, but let me ask you guys a question. Am I misremembering this? Or were we all told by a lot of journalists and radio stations and whatever that last year Chelsea's gamble of spending all the money that they did was a huge gamble, because if they did not get Champions League football, that they were going to be in a very, very tricky predicament financially? And I swear it feels like every day now I'm waking up and they've signed somebody else. Talk about a kid now, I think, from Inter Miami as well. Like, it seems like every day I'm waking up and I'm seeing Chelsea have signed another 20 to 30 million quid youngster from somewhere. And I'm thinking to myself, they didn't get Champions League. They're in the Conference League. They spent more money. Where's the accountability? When are they going to be actually held to account? Like, is FFP real, or is it just a figment of their imagination for small clubs to get bullied with? Because it is very confusing to figure all this out. And I swear as well that a few years back Real Madrid were in financial difficulties. I've given up, mate, trying to figure out football finance, because one expert will say one thing and another expert will talk about creative accountancy and ways they can sell hotels to themselves. I don't understand all of it, mate, but it does certainly at times feel there's different sets of rules. Mohammed John, how are you, my friend? Said, Craig, do you think if we lose friendly matches with a big score, it will affect the transfer? I don't think so. I don't know if you mean from the perspective of players wouldn't want to come into us then, or that it would change the club's thinking around, oh, actually we need somebody here. I don't think we'll pick up anything like that, mate, from the preseason games. I don't think it'll define anyone's career, or I mean, the fringe players, yes, it'll maybe decide whether they're ready to play in the first team or whether they're going alone. But I wouldn't say it'll put off any prospective new players or anything. Benjamin said, I think the PSO will really bite in August. I'm hopeful. Look, it is one thing I will say for FSG. It is nice not to have these headaches. But I kind of wouldn't mind the headaches if it meant we found ways around them like Chelsea have, or we were... Like, Chelsea have leveraged a lot here. You know, giving players big money contracts for lots of years. Like, they ripped up, or at least it was reported they were about to rip up Sarr, 100 grand a week contract, rip it up, which means they have to pay it out. There's only so many easy get-outs for Todd Bowley and Chelsea with his friends in Saudi buying up the overpriced has-beens or the didn't quite works. Only so many of them will get away with. It has to catch up at some point. Am I excited for the shows this weekend? Oh yes. I spoke with Carl Porter yesterday, actually. We had a call just running through a few things before the show. So look, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm just trying to find the right picture. Let me check. Yeah, that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, on Friday, we're going to be live in Cardiff at the Richard Burton Theatre, a magnificent venue in Cardiff. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with the link in the description of the stream or at the top of the chat. And then 2 days later, on Sunday, August the 4th, so this Sunday, myself, David Lynch and Carl Porter are going to be on stage together at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool's beautiful Blackstock Market, brand new venue. Cannot wait. to do it. Carl's going to do a stand-up set to kick us off. Then I'm going to come on and do some interaction with you guys for an hour or so. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end with myself, David Lynch. Connor's going to come up on stage and we're going to just answer audience questions on all things Liverpool or whatever it is that you'd like to ask. And those of you who are coming to the Cardiff show, you're going to see myself, Connor, Ben and Chris Stonage all on stage, all interacting, all taking questions. And all of the shows, of course, include meet and greets and photos and whatever else you guys need. The price is just £15. Liverpool's close to selling out, even though we've moved to the bigger theatre. Liverpool, you guys are showing up. Thank you. Liverpool are coming out and showing up. I appreciate it. So if you want to come along, don't hang about. Tickets you can get. They're just 15 quid each. And it's an all ages event. So if you're kids, 8, 10, 12, and you don't mind a little bit of swearing, because I will keep it to a minimum. I am aware it's an all ages event. There'll be no lewd stuff. Come along, enjoy the show with us. It's the last ones we're ever doing. I'm not going on stage again after these, so yeah, come along and see us. Delighted to have David Lynch and Carl Porter with us. Cannot wait for that show in Liverpool. It's going to be amazing. And as I mentioned earlier on, I wasn't supposed to be able to do the game tomorrow night, but I've changed my ferry crossing. I'm going a bit later in the day now, so I am able to do the watch along tomorrow of the Arsenal game, so we will be doing that tomorrow night. Crazy how is Madrid gave Mbappe €150 million just to sign for them. Imagine having that money. I'm trying to think back, bro. I thought, correct me again if I'm wrong, it happens. I thought it was 75 million was his signing on bonus. But either way, you're right, like it's a lot of money they've been able to pay, but you know, some of the other deals they've been quite clever with. Like look at the way they brought in Camavinga as an example. The way they wanted to bring in Euro, the way they're trying to get Trent. You know, good players still early in their careers whose contracts are either running down or about to become free agents, and then they make their play. Acentino, how are you, my friend? Said, hope your day is going well. Always thought that the August thing was literal. Look, for those of you who are differing from me on the ownership or the sales, let me just promise you one thing. If the transfers happen, I'm not the type of fella who won't put my hands up. I won't be hiding. If I'm wrong, I'll be here saying, fair play, glad to be wrong, nothing would make me happier. There's no vested interest for me bitching about the owners, except it's genuinely how I feel. And I don't trust them. And I've never, since the Super League, had any trust in them. Because, to me, the one thing that I have sacred in my life outside of my beautiful family and my amazing wife is this amazing football club. And I grew up learning about the history, the traditions, those who came before us, the great captains, Emlyn Hughes, Phil Thompson, seeing the European Cup, seeing the First Division titles. I grew up learning about all of that. So to see one day we got a press release just given to us all as Liverpool fans all around the world, whether you're a season ticket holder, whether you're living in Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. All of us were just told, we've signed up to the European Super League, it's happening, deal with it. That's your owners. So whatever benefit of the doubt you want to give them, they did that. And the apology was not an apology. The apology was pathetic. The apology was a PR exercise. They signed up to that without any consideration for the traditions of how football is consumed in Europe, the sporting integrity of the way our competitions are. We don't have closed shops in European football. We don't have no relegation or no being booted out. You earn on sporting merit the right to play in the big European competitions. But they were willing to sell us down the river like that. And the players and the manager and nobody apparently was told about it. I've never been able to let that go because it's disgusting. Also, I heard Trent close to signing a 300k a week for 4 years. Yeah, that's been doing the rounds quite a bit. And I hope it's true. You know, I've yet to be able to get a definitive answer on it. But look, I'd be delighted if Trent signed that deal. I've heard a mixture. Some people like yourself, mate, have said 4 years. Others I've seen say 5 years. For me, look, as long as Trent signs on the dotted line, all good. 300k a week. If he's on 200k now and he's going to be a future captain, you know, that's the way football's going. So, you know, that would be good. But I've never said this, but you guys have. Some of you guys have said that you think that the contract extensions could be pitched as the saving of the summer. That late in the window, we'll get that Jordan Henderson-esque contract extension for Trent or Virgil, and that'll be pitched as a big win. And it might happen, but even I, as cynical as I am about these owners, didn't think they'd have the balls to try that, to try and pull that one off. I'm beginning to think that maybe you guys were right in that one and I was wrong. Because it would take some minerals to try and pull the wool over people's eyes with that. I think we signed Gordon this summer. What do you think? Said Ethan Bro FC. It's not impossible. It would have to be for the right number. I don't feel confident enough to say I think it's definitely this summer. But I do think, Ethan, like I've said all the way from late April, early May through, there's legs in this story. There's a mutual admiration and respect from player, the club, and us back to him. And I'm sure he respects Newcastle's fans. Why wouldn't you? They're a great bunch of fans. But he has eyes for Liverpool. And for me, the defining moment in this whole story came from David Lynch. When David Lynch just reminded us that Newcastle only signed Anthony Gordon on a 3.5-year contract when they brought him in. So at this point in his career with Newcastle, he's got 23 months to go. And that's the time where we know football clubs generally look to renegotiate with players and extend. They don't really like it going past 18 months if possible. But they played their cards when they tried to sell Anthony Gordon for the PSR issues. That's not his fault. You know, it's not Anthony Gordon or his agent's fault that Newcastle didn't do their business correctly or were in a bit of a panic. So it didn't happen in June. They didn't kick him out, but they planted the seed. They said to him that he was the first person they were willing to kick out the door. So that's not screaming confidence. That's not screaming you're our guy. Add to that Liverpool have a genuine fondness for the guy. And like I've always said, I've never been trying to convince you that he's the best solution. Because I'm on the fence. I think he's good. Could be better. Could become good. Like really good. But I understand it. I understand the thought process behind it. And the one thing I will say is if Anthony Gordon does sign for Liverpool, I think he'll give everything for the shirt. And that holds a lot of water with me. You know, I'll forgive most things if you think players are giving 100% out there. Mistakes happen. What I won't, and what you often see me getting really angry about, is a lack of effort. So some of my biggest rants have been when Trent stood there and watched Luka Modric run past them against Real Madrid. Or when the lads looked disinterested when we drew 0-0 with United. And we're wasting a load of chances. Like, a lack of effort the Kop and Liverpool fans won't put up with. But we'll accept losing if we see an effort out there. We don't want to lose. But Anthony Gordon for me is one of those players that he'll be a real honest player that will work hard for the team. So he was asked a couple of questions actually. Speaking of Anthony Gordon. At Fubo TV said, who's your idol and the hardest player you faced? And he said, my idol is Craig from Anfield. No, he said, my idol is Steven Gerrard. And the hardest player I faced is Mohamed Salah. Come on now. Come on. Don't tell me you haven't got a little smile on your face here and that. That's, you know, dude's on the PR. I love it. More of this, please. He was also asked favourite away stadium before Anfield. Of course it was. Good man, Anthony. Fair play to you. The only problem I have if we sign Anthony Gordon is somebody, and I don't mind who this is, we've enough really intelligent people at the football club. Somebody's going to have to label the brakes from on his bicycle to say front brake, back brake. Once we sort that out, the rest we'll figure out. Do I have something on the Wharton news? Not enough that I feel comfortable going full Anthony Gordon on it, but an admiration is certainly there. There are murmurings, you've seen them probably on social media, that he's somebody Liverpool are interested in. I just don't have enough confirmation yet to say that I can stand behind that. You know, I can see the sense behind it. Homegrown, still plenty of room for progression. I would say he'd be quite expensive. I think they paid 20 or something from Blackburn for him. Really good young player. So yeah, look, it would be one that I don't think too many of us would be angry about if it came about, but I'm more concerned by the James Pearce quote today than anything else. You know, the one that said, where is it? One of the factors that led Liverpool to turning down the offer from Marseille for Endo was that they believe there's a lack of suitable, affordable and available number 6 in the market. That is frustrating to hear, because we heard that last year. Wharton or Ederson? So I'm going to be really honest with you. I've seen a lot more of Ederson. So I don't know. I don't know who's better. You know, I'll be honest, I don't know. I wouldn't be angry if we signed either. You know, there's enough people who do know enough about Adam to say that he is a very good player, and enough people whose opinion I would hold highly, speak very highly of the guy. But I haven't watched enough of him. Have you seen this? Mbappe is now the 80% owner of French side Cannes. Cool. Good investment. Love to see footballers reinvesting back into football clubs or academies and stuff like that. Mascherano did something, I think, similar. I think he's the Javier Mascherano Academy over in Argentina. Yeah, good. Good. Keeping that interest, money and involvement back in the game. Can we get a poll, Ben, actually, for the last few minutes? Wharton or Ederson? Feels like we haven't had a poll tonight, so I'm going to stay on till 10:30. So if you're willing to stick with me, we'll stay together to 10:30. But Ben, if we can get a poll, Wharton or Ederson, who would you rather? We've heard it every year, Craig, about the number 6 position. I keep banging on, about a piece I read in the Echo. And like, this isn't meant for me to have a dig at the Echo for once. This is just a genuine observation. The piece in the Echo said, Liverpool's search for a number 6 has entered its 3rd year. Think about that. 3rd year. So we were looking when Fabinho was on the wane. Then we sold Fabinho. And we tried the whole Caicedo, Lavia stuff. And we brought in Endo. And now here we are still in the 3rd year. For one position. And we're still being told that there isn't a footballer that's graced this planet yet that's good enough, cheap enough and available enough to play for Liverpool Football Club. See, some of those things are a bit contradictory, because sometimes you've just got to pay for that talent. If you are being that fussy about wanting a very specific type of player with very specific attributes, that's probably going to cost you a lot of money unless you get very lucky. So which one is it? Are we waiting to be very lucky? Or is it John being cheap? So that poll is up there. Vote away. What's this one? Oh, for fuck's sake. Another quote from James Pearce, who, by the way, I love. You know, if ever I speak of James Pearce and I seem downhearted, it's not because of James Pearce the guy. I like James Pearce. He's a very good man, a very nice man, and but sometimes he lives up to his nickname of Bad News Pearce. And this quote said, "Considering Liverpool have a young squad with potential, this was never going to be a busy summer." Then why was every journalist, including The Athletic, and they're very fine journalists, telling everybody that Liverpool's goal for this transfer window is a defender, a midfielder, and a forward? You didn't invent that. I didn't invent that. The journalists wrote that because the journalists will tell you that was the briefing. That they were told that was the market that Liverpool were looking to be active in. So, why all of a sudden now is it never going to be a busy summer? You know, what is a busy summer? It's a subjective term, I guess. Like, Chelsea are having a busy summer. But we as Liverpool fans, we knew 3, right? 3. Some of us varied on whether we wanted an attacker or a fullback, but ultimately, a centre-back and a midfielder were non-negotiables. They were the bare minimums. And like clockwork, here comes the rewriting of the history books. And like I said, I don't want to put words in James Pearce's mouth, because maybe 2 to 3 positions isn't classed as a busy summer. I don't know. But we know what we were told. We know what was briefed. We know 3 positions were spoken about. Go back and research it. Google search it. Put the phrases in. You'll find hundreds of articles written about it. And this is what I say. Stop treating us like idiots. Stop treating us like idiots. Whether you are 15 years of age or 70 years of age, some of this stuff is absolute pony of the highest order and absolute manipulation of the facts. And I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. Every year. Again, I'm going to say John's own words. FSG's goal is to under-promise and over-deliver. That's the motto. That's the phrase. That's what John says. That's what Tom says. That's what Mike says. That's the line. Under promise and over deliver. I don't think many people would feel like they've over delivered. Yeah, it's tough to swallow that. Do you know what was one thing that nobody really actually, I don't know if you didn't pick up on or nobody cared about it, or when I spoke with David Lynch last on the channel, my biggest exciting bit of information that I got from David in the interview with him was that confirmation that it's going to be Adidas next year. You know that. And I could, to be fair to David, I feel like he was as excited about the idea of Adidas as I was, because of, we spoke about the retro shirts and stuff. So I'm happy for that fact, but God Almighty, this is awful stuff. Like, so Tristan said, "Sell Darwin, he's rubbish." I disagree with you, bro, but even the selling part we're not doing this summer, as of yet anyway. But the magic month of August is coming up soon, right? We're only, 26 hours away from the magic month of August, when everything's going to be made better, and all those promises and those unicorns are going to fly in through those rainbows and bestow us these generational talents of quality that we've been waiting for, like the spoiled little kids that we are, waiting for the Ferrari. Kubo deal is off now, is it? It was never on. To be fair, very quickly we were getting quotes from the president of Real Sociedad, and most of the journalists felt like that was an unlikely situation. So again, when you see titles on Anfield Agenda, look out for a few things: quotation marks, question marks, and everything that we put into our titles and thumbnails comes from stories that are in the media that we decide we have in our notes and then we talk about. Like tonight, we've spoken about this stuff around Wharton. We've spoken about Anthony Gordon. We've spoken about Sepp van den Berg potentially moving on. We've spoken about, these are all things that are written. And some of them are crazy and we just bring them up and laugh about them. But some people really either are willfully ignorant or just want to have a go at us and just come in with the more lies, more, but they're not our stories. Ooh said United just made another signing. Who's that one? Who's that they've brought in now? I know they were looking to get rid of Wan-Bissaka to bring in a right back. But who have they signed now? Slot must either be desperate to be LFC coach under these conditions or he's very confident. But the thing is, we were all told that Slot wasn't going to have much say in the transfer business. Like, there is a reason he was given the title head coach and not manager. So I found it really unfair on him that people have been talking about him having no power or him being willing to... Yeah, he signed up to be head coach. He knew he'd be acknowledged in transfer dealings, but ultimately we knew Richard Hughes, maybe Michael Edwards, Barry Hunter, Dave Fallows, Will Spearman, the rest of the recruitment team would be the ones making those decisions. That's why he's not a manager. Managers encompass everything at the club. They oversee it all. Slot isn't the manager, he's a head coach. So it's not really fair on him to hold him responsible for the lack of transfer activity, in my opinion. And he might get a say, but the difference between Arne Slot having a yay or nay, let me paint, do I see a world where Michael Edwards goes to Arne Slot? We're looking at Adam Wharton. Do you think Adam Wharton would work for you? Can you see a place in this squad for Adam Wharton? And he could say yes, and Michael Edwards would go, cool, let's try and make that happen. Or maybe he says, I don't think this guy stylistically is what I'm looking for, more X or Y, I need someone that can do this or that. That input I'm sure he'll have. But he isn't yet at the point that I believe where he's going to go to Richard Hughes, I want Nico Williams, get me Nico Williams. Because he hasn't got that authority yet. He hasn't earned that gravitas yet at the club. And again, I'll take you back to an article that was written that was quoting Michael Edwards, who, again, I'm paraphrasing this, but it was that Michael Edwards initially, with a coach, would want him to just come in and coach and take care of that until he gets his feet on the table, starts to show that he can deliver the results, and then over time will build up more ability to be involved in those conversations, to be involved in more aspects of the club. Think of it like earning the right and the trust to do that. Again, completely understandable, because the whole system of having a head coach and a sporting director means that the sporting director, in this case Richard Hughes, brings the stability, sets the footballing philosophy for the club, and delivers it, and makes sure that the coaching from the first team right the way down to the academy products is the same. Playing the same systems, play the Liverpool way, play in the same philosophies, press, counter press, play through the lines, do all the things. And the theory behind it is that a coach is interchangeable. So if Arne Slot didn't become a success, that removing Arne Slot isn't going to be as big of a drama as removing Jurgen and everything that goes along with it. Because yes, you'd have to bring in new backroom coaches, but the structure is in place and secure. And that's to provide long-term stability at the clubs. That's the kind of basic idea of a sporting director. Sell Salah if losing him for free. So at this point, I'll read the rest of your comment to be fair. If Diaz wants Barca, then sell if they can afford him. Hopefully FSG use that to reinvest. We can't become just fighting for top four again, compete to win only. The problem about Salah this summer is his agents always said ain't going to happen. You're not getting us into the last year of a deal and selling us. And look, he's right. He's right. If I was advising Mohamed and I knew that Liverpool weren't going to be forthcoming with an extension on terms that we'd be happy with, I'd be turning around to Mohamed and saying, bro, sit tight. Liverpool will either cave and we'll get paid and you'll get your extension and you'll get to carry on playing for a football club that you love, that you know you've served really well, or Liverpool don't give you the new contract. And then we look at the options that are on the table and we see what fits best for your next part of your career, what money we get, what signing on bonuses, all this kind of stuff. It's never easy to shift a player on in the last year of their contract when they know the club doesn't have long-term thoughts for them. He's not going to be fooled into signing a contract extension so he can be sold in a year's time. So whatever we talk about these things, there has to be agreements on three parties for a transfer. The player has to want the deal, the selling club has to want the deal, and the buying club has to want the deal. And if any one of those three things don't line up, deal isn't happening. And ask yourself this, honestly. If you were in Salah's position, would you write off 50 million quid? Because you're still going to get to play for the greatest club on earth for another year. You're going to be in the Champions League. You're going to be idolised by the fans who love you to bits because you've been the standard bearer. And then in January, you say to Liverpool, well, new deal or no new deal. And if they say no new deal, you agree a deal with whoever, anywhere. I'm sure he'll have his pick of clubs. Get yourself a nice juicy signing on bonus. And away you go. One phrase you've heard me say a lot is leverage, 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 leverage. In any negotiation, leverage is the important factor. And whoever has that leverage, more often than not, is going to come out of that negotiation on the happier side of it. Whilst there's always some compromise in a negotiation. And Liverpool, right now, with Salah, have no leverage. Zero. And that's what worried me about Trent as well. We're all hoping that Trent's heartstrings keep Trent at Liverpool. But we don't have leverage. Now, with Diaz, very different. 3 years to go. Liverpool have him on a relatively low wage. We have all the leverage. If Diaz wants out, then it's got to be for top dollar for Liverpool. And then he goes. If he doesn't, the club are happy to keep him on. That makes sense. This is why I've been talking about those three contracts for so long. Because I warned about it last summer. I warned about it in January, and I've warned about it every month and every week from January till the summer, because every day and week that goes by, the club's hand weakens. Craig didn't say during the interview with Slot not to expect transfer activity until August. So again, I'm open to be corrected on this, but I don't believe that's what he said. My memory of that situation was that he said, I'm not expecting much activity throughout July. I think the transfer window will reach a crescendo in August. How I interpreted that, he was speaking broadly. In my opinion, he was speaking broadly about the transfer window in general and not just Liverpool. So I thought he believed that there'd be limited business done in July, because of the international competitions and the Olympics and other stuff. And that much more stuff would start happening, domino effects and all this stuff in August. But my opinion is, I don't think he was speaking about us specifically. I think he was speaking about the European transfer window as a whole. But it is open to interpretation, of course, because he didn't say specifically one or the other. Right, so the poll, which we have ran for about 17-18 minutes now, and we said, who would you rather? Only 31% of you guys have said that you'd prefer Adam Wharton. 69% have said that they would prefer to sign Ederson from Atalanta. Very interesting. Thank you for everyone that took part in that. Look, my friends, I'm going to call it a night. It's been another long stream, but a fun one, even though it was, there's been anger at times. But thank you all again for coming in. Tomorrow, we'll have a video coming out at midday. We'll have a live stream at 8:45. But then we're also going to be doing the game tomorrow night. Excuse me. So I'll see you back then. Don't forget, if you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets for the live shows. The link in the chat. New podcast episode came out today. So let me know if you've had a chance to listen to that as well when we talk tomorrow. And thank you all so much for giving up your evenings, coming and have a chat with me. Thank you to Ben in the background, to Connor, and to you guys as well. Really appreciate it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.